Hi, everyone. I am Jaki Wojan, and I am the Chief Information Security Officer here at UCANR. And I am going to be talking today about international travel advice, what precautions you should take when you're traveling overseas. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so international travel. First step when thinking about going on a trip is you really want to think about whether you should even bring your device with you at all, your laptop, for example. If it's your work computer, if it's your work laptop, and this is a personal trip, it's a vacation, it's somewhere you're going for personal reasons, visiting family, really consider leaving your device at home. When you leave your device at home, you're at less risk of losing it or having it stolen when you're traveling. On top of that, you definitely don't want to bring any data and devices you don't need. So if the trip is work related and you're going to a conference to present on a specific topic, make sure you only bring data that is relevant to the topic that you are presenting on. Bring just the presentation data. And then use loaner devices whenever possible. We do have plenty of loaner devices in IT. You can reach out to us to ask for a loaner laptop to be prepped. So you can make sure it's clean and only has what you need on it. You can copy that over when you bring it with you on your trip. So if you are traveling for work and you do need to bring a work device, here are some things you need to do before you travel. And the first thing is always check for travel advisories from the State Department. It's really important that you're aware of what's going on in the country that you're visiting. You always want to make sure that you back up your data first, whether that's copying it out to Box or putting it on an external hard drive that you have. Just make sure that you've got a copy of whatever's on your laptop also stored somewhere else. You want to take off any personal and UC data from the device, especially data, as I mentioned before, that you don't need while you're on your trip. You want to remove that from the device before you go. You want to install and configure ANR's VPN software so that if you are accessing ANR's VPN or ANR's resources from the country that you're visiting, that all of the communication is secure. A VPN will encrypt all the communication back and forth between you and UCANR, which is very important when you're traveling overseas and you're on networks that you don't know. Make sure your device meets ANR standards. Make sure you have Malwarebytes installed. This is really important. It's our antivirus software that we provide. You want to make sure that Case is also installed. Case is a asset management software that will make sure your device is patched and protected. You want to make sure the hard drive is encrypted. If you are not sure if your hard drive is encrypted, please reach out to IT before you travel. We can assist you with that. Hard drives that have come through the central IT in the last couple of years have all been encrypted. So if you procured your laptop within the last 2 years, then you can be pretty sure that it went through central IT. You can be pretty sure that it is encrypted. But if it's an older laptop, you definitely want to check with us. And it doesn't hurt to check with us, even if it is a newer laptop, just to make sure that what you've got is pretty secure. You want to make sure the operating system, whether that's Mac OS or Windows, is patched and that any applications you're running are patched and secure and there's no vulnerabilities. And you want to set your laptop to lock out the screen after 15 minutes of activity. So that if you set your laptop down and you walk away, it'll go to a screen and require a username and password be entered before they can get to anything on the laptop. You're going to want to turn on the Find My Device tracking in case the laptop gets stolen or the device itself gets stolen or gets lost, then you can try to track it down. And you want to make sure your device is configured to ask before joining any Wi-Fi networks. If it sees a Wi-Fi network that it thinks it's familiar with, it might try to connect to it, and that might be a Wi-Fi network that is not a safe Wi-Fi network. So you want to make sure that you're connecting to secure Wi-Fi networks and you're aware of what you're connecting to. And if you don't have a laptop that doesn't already have a webcam cover, you want to make sure you purchase one, or you could just use a piece of tape as well if you want. You want to make sure it's not the transparent tape. You want to have it be opaque tape that you would put over your camera so that your camera can't be accessed. During travel, these are the rules that you want to follow. And the first one is don't leave your device unattended. For example, don't check your device with your luggage. Don't put your laptop in your suitcase and have it go through the checking process. You don't want it to leave your side. You want to make sure you're bringing that laptop or tablet or whatever it is with you on your trip, on the plane with you. So make sure it's in your carry-on bags. You want to power it off when you're not using it. So make sure that you turn it off completely before you take it with you anywhere. Don't use any untrusted accessories, including chargers. So if you forget a charger, don't rely on the kindness of strangers who might have an extra charger lying around. You don't know where that charger has been or what it is exactly. It's much better to go buy a charger in some kind of packaging so that you know that it hasn't been tampered with before you use it. One thing that's always good to remember, whether you're traveling or not, is you don't want to ever enter your credentials on a public access or untrusted computer. So if you're at a library and you're surfing the web and you think, oh, I'm going to log into the portal because I need to do something for work, you don't ever want to enter your portal credentials on a library PC. It's not safe. We don't know what could be on that PC. We don't know who could be looking at what's being put on that PC. So don't ever do that, regardless of whether you're traveling or not. You always want to make sure you're connecting to known Wi-Fi networks. So if you're staying in a hotel, for example, you want to make sure you're connecting to their Wi-Fi network, not another rogue Wi-Fi network that might be accessible to you. Many of you know that a mobile phone can be hotspotted, so it can make a Wi-Fi network available that may look legitimate, may look safe, but it's actually not. And somebody could be listening on that Wi-Fi network to see what you're doing, what you're entering, and capture any traffic that's going back and forth. So make sure you're using known Wi-Fi networks. When you're not using the Wi-Fi, when you're not using the Bluetooth, make sure you've got that turned off so it can't accidentally be connected to in any way. And you want to use VPN software for secure network. I mentioned that the ANR VPN software will make sure your communication to ANR is secure. There's other VPN software out there that you can purchase. And if you want some recommendations, you can reach out to IT. That will keep all of your communication secure. So even if you're surfing the internet and just Googling anything, that can also be encrypted through a VPN. If you're not connected to a VPN, it won't be encrypted. So that's one way you can keep your communication and your data transit all safe, because it's going to be encrypted, usually doubly encrypted. You don't want to log into your laptop with any kind of admin access. If you have an admin user on your local laptop, you don't want to log into that laptop with admin access. And the reason for that is you don't want to accidentally install something that you aren't aware is being installed. Sometimes you can click a link, especially in an email or on a website, that will download something and silently install it, and you're not even aware that that's happened. And when you log in with admin access, it can happen. If you don't have admin access, then the installer won't be able to run. You always want to practice safe browsing. Don't click through error messages or warnings. I know you guys have seen certificate warnings on certain websites. If you're seeing a certificate warning, don't click through and just say, oh, this is nothing, I'm just going to skip over it because I know how to. Be careful of that. Always be aware of social engineering when you're traveling. The kindness of strangers can actually be motivated by trying to manipulate you to get information out of you. So be careful and be wary of that. And along those lines, you want to make sure you avoid posting about your trip on social media. You want to usually wait until you get back from your trip before you post pictures or talk about your trip in general, just because it's safer if people don't know that you're actually out of the country and where you are when you're traveling. After you travel, when you come back, you want to make sure you run any anti-malware scans on your computer. So with Malwarebytes, you can kick off a scan to make sure that the device is still clean. You're going to want to change any passwords that you used while you were on your trip. So for example, if you logged into the portal when you were on your trip, you would want to, when you come back, you'll want to change your portal password. If you used any temporary devices, like USB drives, you want to make sure you wipe those completely. You want to delete any unneeded apps. If you installed an app for temporary use while you were at a conference, when you come back, delete it. And then just keep an eye on your statements for the next couple of months to make sure that there's no transactions on there that you aren't expecting, because that can happen after a trip, when people have skimmed your cards or gotten your information in some way. That would be one thing that they would do, is try to make transactions against those financial cards. I've got a couple of questions related to some of the slides that came through. The first question is, what is the process for getting a loaner device? Just place an inquiry with IT. And yes, that pretty much is the process. You just want to go ahead and open a ticket with Help Desk, and they'll be able to track down a loaner device for you, assist you with installing of any software that needs to be on it, and make sure it gets to you. We can ship those to you if you're not local to the 2nd Street office. That's not a problem. And then when you return, you would ship that laptop back to us so we can wipe it and prep it so it can be used again in another trip if necessary. Another person's asking, should we be using VPN when working from local coffee shops and stuff? And yeah, it's always a good idea if you're not on your home network, especially if you are accessing ANR resources, to use the ANR VPN. If you want to keep everything secure while you're at a coffee shop, even if you are not accessing ANR resources, as I mentioned before, there are other VPN solutions that you can use that would encrypt all of your traffic, not just the traffic to ANR. The ANR VPN would only encrypt your traffic to ANR resources. So for example, if you're accessing the K drive remotely, then that would be all encrypted. But other VPN products can make it so that all of your traffic, even browsing through the web on a web browser, would be encrypted. Somebody asked, is Case VPN software? This wasn't clear to me from the communication about it. No, Case is not VPN software. Case is actually asset management software that allows us to track all of our assets across UCANR. So all the laptops, all the PCs, all the servers, so that we can see them from a central console. We can see all devices. And then we can also make sure that patches are managed through Case. That's what Case does. At some point also, Case will allow you to install approved software through the Case console rather than having to install it using local admin privileges. You'll be able to install stuff through Case. That's where we hope to get to. Someone's asking, I have PulseSecure on my computer that I use to access the UC Davis library. Is that a VPN, or is there a separate UC Davis VPN? That is a VPN. The PulseSecure is a different VPN. It's one provided by UC Davis. I don't know for sure whether that VPN would encrypt all your traffic or just the traffic that you're sending to the library. I don't know for sure, but that's one thing you can check with UC Davis, is to ask them, is the PulseSecure VPN encrypting everything or just partial traffic? Someone else is asking, can you give directions on what VPN and how to use it? And yes, I can give you directions on how to get the ANR VPN that is available through IT. We do have an article on our knowledge base that we can share with you. And also, I would just open a ticket if you feel like you need VPN access and you don't have it. The easiest thing to do is open a help desk ticket so that they can assist you with that. If you're looking for other VPN solutions that would encrypt all of your traffic, there are a few out there that I've looked at recently. One of them is Norton VPN. I'm sure most of you guys are aware of Norton antivirus. It's a very popular antivirus that's been around a long time. So that is one option. The other one is Bitdefender. If you've heard of that one, it's also available at a reasonable price. I'm sure you can budget for it. That would protect and encrypt all of your traffic as well. Those two would encrypt all of your traffic. And they've both been through the VRA process recently, so they would be on the approved list. And you can use those to encrypt all your traffic and use that rather than the ANR VPN or the UC Davis VPN, which wouldn't necessarily encrypt all of your traffic. And I think that, oh, there's one more question. Suggestions for cell phones for international travel. So for your cell phone, it's pretty much the same type of advice. You want to make sure that you're keeping your cell phone on you at all times, that you are not plugging in anything to that cell phone that you don't trust. One thing I mentioned in the town hall recently is, and this goes especially for laptops, if you find a USB drive somewhere that you find on the floor somewhere in the airport, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to plug this in so I can figure out who this belongs to. Don't ever plug it in because you don't know what it is. You don't know what's on it. The same thing goes for anything that can be plugged into a phone, SIM cards or anything like that, chargers that you don't know or don't trust. You can't be sure that there isn't something unsafe about those. You want to make sure you've got antivirus on your cell phone as well. The good news is cell phones are, more modern cell phones are encrypted. Even Android phones are encrypted on the later versions of the OS, of the operating system. Mac iPhones are also encrypted by default, so you don't have to worry about the encryption layer, but you do want to probably put some kind of antivirus on it so that you can keep it safe. We don't currently have a mobile version of Malwarebytes yet. We're looking into that, but the two VPNs that I mentioned before, Bitdefender and Norton, they both have a mobile antivirus that you can use if you want. So that's a good thing to try out. The other advice that I mentioned before, keeping your Wi-Fi off, keeping it off of unprotected or unknown Wi-Fi networks, keeping your Bluetooth off if you're not using it. Those are all good advice to keep with your mobile phone as well. Okay, I think that's all the questions related to this portion of the discussion. Thank you.